Hey guys, this is Sapphire Yagami with Teen Wolf Review. This is episode 5 of the third season. It's titled Frayed. Now, the whole episode was sort of presented in a non-linear fashion, meaning, like one scene was present, then another scene was like a flashback. It wasn't like all in chronological order. So the way I'm going to do it is going to be in chronological order. Chronological order, so it'd be easier to understand. And so, I'm starting off before the battle. We have Scott finding an arrow at school and brings it to Allison's apartment to confront her. At first, she pretty much says, "Oh, that was not me. It wasn't me. I mean, why you think just because I have a bow and arrow? That is me." And she said it could have been the archery team. And then he's like, "Well, the archery team doesn't have military grade armor piercing and titanium arrows." So he pretty much tells her, stay away from the alpha peg because, it's the alpha peg. They're superhuman strength. Like, you're a human. It's not gonna work. Then they flirt a little bit of over the idea who would win in a fight between her and Scott. Have a little spar moment and stuff. Then it gets, he easily blocks her attacks given the fact that, he got his reflex, he got mad reflex skills. And they end up kind of close to kissing. And so then he leaves with a warning that Alpha Twins were just playing with him at school, and he says he's afraid and that she should be afraid of what the Alpha Pack might do. Obviously. Anyway, he goes. Deucalion is in a elevator waiting for Scott. Scott, get ready, about to fight. He stands up like, okay, we got to do this for the elevator. And the Deucalion is like, like I'm like kind of like he's not really scared of him. He said he ought to be blind, deaf, and quadriplegic for Scott to have a chance to take him down. Well, technically he is blind. He's just not deaf and quadriplegic. Um, he then tells Scott, "Hey, come on, take a chance, kill the alpha and become an alpha yourself." But Scott like, no, he doesn't want to become an alpha, even though we already know we'd already seen Scott's eyes turn red. So he has the alpha in him because he's a beta. That's pretty much like second in command. You know. And Scott said, "I'm not EQ. I'm not gonna kill nobody." He said, "Well, that might change if you have to, if the only way to save a person is to kill somebody, which sometimes that does happen in life. You're like, I'm never gonna kill nobody, but it was a dire situation. Sometimes people will kill another just to save another. It's usually how it happens. Sometimes it's only usually in dire need situations. And Scott thinks this guy is just pretty much trying to spark a conversation, but come to realize the man actually lives in this building, and he says that the neighbors are surprisingly friendly, so most likely he lives right next door to Allison and her dad. And when Scott asks what he's after, he responds, "I want to see what you're made of." We go over to Derek's loft, where Scott says the Alpha Pack's living in the building, and Allison's building. Derek already knows that. Cora and board follow the twins there. Scott suggests that the Alphas want them to know where they are. Peter suggests they don't care if Derek knows. Derek says they're gonna attack tomorrow, and Scott is going with them. The Alphas live in a penthouse right above the Argent's building apartment. You know, Derek wants to take him out first. Scott wants to know, is killing always going to be pretty much the plan for killing the werewolves. Peter agrees with him, but mocks Scott for being blandly moral. Cora disagrees with Scott, wants to know why they need this kid. Derek points out that Scott helped save her life and tries to convince Scott that they can't just sit back and wait for him to make the first move. So obviously, we got Scott and Derek going back and forth on how to handle the situation. Derek's more like, "Hey, take him out first." And Scott's like, "No, we need to talk it out. We need to talk this out. We need to talk this out." Kind of reminds me of Sam and Dean Winchester from the TV show Supernatural. Well, Sam is more like, early in the Earth season, he was more like, let's talk this out with the demons, see what they're doing. And Dean was more like, shoot first, ask questions later. That's kind of how I'm seeing these two. Then we go with Scott visiting Dr. Deaton, say he doesn't know what to do about the situation. He don't know how to save someone who doesn't want to be saved. And Deaton tells him that you shouldn't try to stop them, but you should try to lead them, meaning, hey, alpha up, man, alpha up. Like Jacob had to alpha up in order to save Bella. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta alpha up. You gotta alpha up. You can't be a beta for the rest of your life. You gotta alpha up. And then we have Allison trying to convince her daddy that, hey, my friends need help. And his dad like, we promise to stay out of this. She's like, how can I stay out of this, Daddy? If my friends are in danger. I'm like, okay, you can go ahead and be all Miss Murder over there, but you know, it's an alpha pack. You might get you behind killed. They your friends, all right. I mean, you going up, you know, all like you all that in a bag of chips, you know. The same. Her dad then points out, you know, hey, they're not your family. And Allison says she lost so much family that she could use a few friends. Yeah, because your family, some of your family members is a bit cuckoo, you know. Your mom, ooh, her mom's scared though. Ooh. Um, so Scott decides he's gonna meet with Dukeli himself. So he leaves his house, but he stopped by Isaac. He lies and says he's going for food, but Isaac insists on going too. Like, really, food at this time of night? Really, food? Yeah, stop lying, dude. So they arrive at the abandoned mall where Dukelian is. He's perched on top of a broken down escalator. Scott was supposed to come alone, thinking that he means Isaac. Scott apologizes, but then Derek walks out the shadows. Scott tries to talk Derek down, saying that no one needs to get killed, but Dukelian also broke the rules, and all the members of the Alpha Pack revealed themselves. So pretty much everybody came with somebody. So we have Kylie coming down, sliding down a concrete column like a pole. Enos comes down up from the escalator, and we got the Alpha Twins standing on the ledge, and they do like a nice little flip and come down. Like, all that's not necessary. And we have Boyd and Cora stepping forward. So now the battle ensues. Darren makes a move on Deucalion, but Kylie stops him with a kick. We got the twins getting into this. Boyd faces off with Enos. Scott transforms to help Isaac. The the twins, you know, merge to super alpha, and start fighting. We got Cora fighting this, but the larger wolf twists around, breaks her arm. Isaac and Scott fight the merged twins, but they're no match. Scott gets a nasty scratch on his torso. It's really, really bad. Now, while all this is going on, everybody fighting each other, Duke Kelly is just watching, just listening. Well, no, I'm sorry, not watching because he's blind. He's listening to everything that's going on. Enos holds his bow down. Kylie delivers it around her kick, putting deep marks into his chest. Boyd is down. Kylie has the foot on Cora's neck. Scott and Isaac on their knees. Deucalion urges Derek to kill Boyd, saying if he does, then the others can go. Deucalion says Derek should take the first step, referencing what he told Derek about killing his betas to become stronger. Kylie thinks Derek is laughable, mocking that he is an alpha to a couple of useless teenagers. Deucalion looks towards Scott and says that some have more promise than others, meaning he could probably most likely sense the alpha in, you know, Scott. Kylie threatens to kill Cora if he doesn't, and tells Derek he must choose between family and pack. An arrow then flies over Derek's head and strikes the merged twins, who immediately separate into two separate people again. It's Allison flying, you know, she's flying, you know, the little, what do you call these arrows? Arrows that, you know, with this, you know, blinding light that, you know, messes with the werewolf's sights and stuff, you know, that stuff. So she's firing out, giving, you know, Scott and Derek and time to regroup and begin to help the wounded out of the harm's way, because those alphas God gave them some really, really bad wounds. Like, whew. Scott regains his feet and takes an aim at Enos. They hit each other with equal force, but merely slide away from each other. Once he looks up, we can see Scott's eyes glow alpha red. Then he shakes it off, and they return to the Macron yellow. So he's there. He's close to being an alpha, but it's like he doesn't want to be an alpha. Like, you know, I'm not ready for that responsibility. You know, because you're like a leader. You know. So Derek attacks Enos from behind. They struggle, and then they follow with a ledge. So, yeah, that's what happens during the battle. After the battle, the storm is brewing across Beacon Hills. Beacon Hills cross country team heads toward a meet on a desert highway. Isaac tells Boyd to stop thinking about their, you know, confrontation with the alphas. Derek's apparent death, point out there's nothing to do about it. Pretty much all the wolves was messed up that, Derek is gone. You all messed up. My mom said, why the cute one had to die. That's how my mom saw it. We have Ethan keep checking his phone. Danny's asking, like, what are you waiting for? We have the bus. Styles going through a list of vocabulary words and tries to work in the word dark car, but, Scott's not responding. They hit a bump in the road. Scott's like, ow, he's not healing up. So they're trying to figure out, okay, we know you got scratched by Alpha, but Boyd and Isaac got scratched too, but they're healed up, and Scott still is not healing. They're trying to figure out what's wrong. Like, this is not natural. You should have been healed already. We have Lydia and Allison falling behind them, thinking that the boys don't know they're behind them, but the guys know they're behind them. I mean, they're not stupid. I mean, plus the fact that, there's wolves on the bus. I'm pretty sure they have your scent down. I'm pretty sure they can smell you. Just saying. I'm pretty sure they can smell you. The coach then berates a student named Jared for being car sick. The kid, is trying not to throw up. I don't know how the hell can you get car sick? I don't know. I don't know. How can you get car sick? That's a question. Anyway. So then we have traffic is stalled up, so now everybody's stuck in traffic because there's a problem on the road. It happens sometimes. We have then we have Cora and Peter checking out what happened during at the mall and stuff, and they notice that if Derek and Ennis is dead, then where are their bodies? Because they look down, there's no bodies there. So if you're dead, your body shouldn't have this move. So speculation that okay, obviously they survived this, but we didn't have Boyd on the bus beginning to wolf out, so Scott has to come over and calm him down, and it try to calm him down, but it doesn't stop, and he doesn't stop until he knows that Scott is still bleeding. Like, wait a minute, he ain't healed up, he's still bleeding. That's a problem, We didn't have Scott returning, sit down. He's worried that Ethan keeps checking the phone and that it's something evil. So we have Styles texting Danny, just crazy texting this guy, like, see what Ethan's doing, see what Ethan doing. It's like so annoying but funny at the same time. So Danny finally finds out that Ethan's waiting for an update because a friend of his is sick. We then have Aiden, Collie, and Miss Moriel show up at Dr. Deeds with unconscious Enos. Callie begins to wall wolf like, hey, let us through, you're gonna heal him. He's like, get through this mountain ass bitch. You can't, yeah. So Collie pretty much trying to threaten Miss Moriel and said, if you don't open up, I'm gonna kill her. Now, what you gonna do about it? So then he ends up helping the dude any freaking way. Back on the bus, and Jared's looking sicker, and the coach is like, hey, don't throw it. Styles is trying to, get the coach to stop for food, so he ends up getting the kid to throw up so everybody is able to get off the bus. So they pull into a rest area with Lydia, Allison, and Styles. They try to skid Scott and restaurant to treat his room, and it seems to be infected and turning black because it's not clean. So whatever happens to infection, you don't get it clean and it gets worse and worse. So Lydia believes his failure to heal is is a big huge word that I cannot pronounce. I'm not even gonna try. It's pretty much his brain is causing his own ill. He believes that he's not letting himself heal because he's guilty over Derek's death. Mind over matter. Mind over your body. Like, if you believe you're pretty, you're gonna feel pretty. If you believe you're ugly, you're gonna feel ugly. It's tough, it's pretty much that simple. So Lydia comes up with a plan to sew up the wound because if he believes he is healing, he might actually start healing. So get him to believe it. Let's go. So we then have Allison starts about to take a sewing kit from her. We have Allison burning a needle, got to sterilize it and stuff. Styles leaves to find Scott another shirt in his bag on the bus, and Lydia goes to make sure that they do not leave. This bus does not leave with them still here. So we have Allison, trying to get the thread through the needle. She's starting to get frustrated, and all of a sudden her mama pops out. So we have hallucination of her mom, and her mom was like so freaking scary though. She's like, oh, poor Allison, get yourself together. I'm like, oh Jesus, like a so scary. And she's like, pretty much her saying that you need to approach the situation clinically and emotionally, because right now her crying because she knows this guy, we know they're not together more, but her emotions for him is still there. So with her crying is not helping her trying to thread the needle, girl. Calm the F down, calm down. So she finally calms down. and gets the thread through the needle. I'm like, oh my goodness. Whew. We then when she finishes, Scott seems to have lost consciousness. She calls his name until he comes back around. He snaps awake and says it's my fault, referencing to Derek's death. We then have Allison helping her on feet and they get out of the restaurant where Lydia is waiting to help support Scott. Lydia reminds her that they're out of gas, but Allison refuses to leave Scott and says they'll just take the bus and leave the Toyota at the rest area. Isaac attacks Ethan, punching him again and again as the boy stands watching. The coach breaks in to try to break it up, but Isaac doesn't stop until Scott shouts his name. Back at Dr. Deaton's, Cora and Peter arrive and he explains that it's just more than an animal clinic. Says that half of the building is made out of mountain ash and he's not sure how to get in. Cora suggests they knock on the door like normal people, but then Peter senses that the Alpha Packers are inside. Deaton is finished treating Enos and Dukelian comes in and explains that Enos is unconscious and will recover from wounds. The Alpha leader then kisses Enos on both cheeks, grabs his head and crushes his skull. I'm like, really, dude? The dude was gonna survive. What, really? So you just gonna kill him? So that means Dr. D and Dale, they work for nothing. For nothing. Like, dude, come F down. So when him, Kali and Aiden in his exit Clinton, Kali is breaking down and growls so loudly that the car alarm literally go off. Aiden hugs her and comforts her. I'm guessing that her and Ennis had a thing because she's like very emotional over it. So I'm like, they had a thing. I'm guessing that was her mate. You know, I kind of feel sorry for you. Then we have Anna saying if Derek is dead, it's not Scott's fault, and Scott thanks her for not listening to what. So when he warned her to stay away, Allison stares at Scott and says she's just looking at his eyes. And on the bus we got Lydia and Styles are discussing the murder, and Lydia brings up the fact some ancient cultures use human sacrifice to prepare for battle, which is true, you know. And Styles sums it up. We have alpha werewolves against a dark druid. Ennis' body is still on the table at Dr. Deaton's. Miss Moriel covers his face with a sheet. Deaton chastises her, saying she doesn't know what she's gotten herself into. And she retorts, it's a little late to be playing Big Brother. So obviously they're brother and sister. At the school, Mrs. Blake gets into a car to leave when Derek stumbles upon and leaves a bloody handprint on the window. She gets out to help him. So overall, that was a pretty good, interesting episode. We thought Derek was dead, but he's not really dead. Scott will let himself heal. It was all in the mind. Pretty much interesting with the battle when and Allison tripping out constantly seeing her mom. I'm like, girl, let it go. Stop seeing your mom. You might need to get some crazy pills for that because that's not healthy. That's so not healthy. Anyway, that was Teen Wolf review episode Frayed. I know it's a real late for me to post this, but you know sometimes life just gets in the way. So I just want to know what you guys thought about this episode. You know, leave a comment below, and you know, leave a comment in the comment section below. Rate it if you rate the video if you want to. Subscribe if you want to. You know, it all depends on what you want to do. So I will see you guys next time for another episode review of Teen Wolf. Deuces.